Hi, I'm in Little Falls, Minnesota at Linden Hill Historical Site along the Mississippi River, and I'm at a writer's retreat in conjunction with the Mississippi River Readers Retreat, and I am so excited to bring you interviews from some of those authors.
Well, welcome, and I'm so excited to have author Tracie Peterson. I have to tell you, you were the second Christian book or author I've ever read. So
awesome.
You have a special place in my heart. The first was Lorraine Snelling, so
love Lorraine.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Yeah, the book I read was City of Angels.
Okay.
So
with James Scott Bell.
Yeah, yep.
A wonderful author.
Yeah.
I very much enjoyed working with him.
Yeah. So how many books have you written?
Actually, I just turned in book 139.
Wow.
And I'm working ahead on the rest of them and just having a great time. It's always been a lot of fun. It's a ministry for me, and I enjoy being able to serve God in this capacity.
Yeah. How do you stay creative through all of that?
You know, I think the creativity is, like, by nature a part of who I am, but also I read a ton, both historical, nonfiction, and fiction. I read a lot of just books in general on a wide variety of subjects, and I think that really helps. And you know, I like to watch documentaries, I like to watch geographic shows, and always it's amazing, there's some little tidbit somewhere that triggers the ideas for a show or a book. You've got me thinking shows now, but there'll be something there. My favorite thing is when they say, and we never knew what happened, you know, in such and such a town or to so and so, and I'll think, oh, I can come up with something.
Awesome. And so then kind of describe what kind of books you write. What's your genre?
I write mainly historical Christian fiction. In fact, I'm often called the queen of historical Christian fiction, probably because of the 139 books. But, you know, I have written contemporary, and I have written nonfiction. I actually have a couple of nonfiction books. But my passion is historical.
Yeah, and you kind of go throughout history with your book.
I've tried a little bit of everything, but you know, I did some medieval stories, clear up to World War II. But my favorite is that time period post-Civil War to the turn of the 1900s. You know. There's just something amazing about that time period. America really comes of age. The Industrial Revolution changes so much, and you see people go from, you know, using candles and matches, you know, and flint and, you know, whatnot, to, you know, having electricity, and the whole thing changes. Everything in the world takes a different turn, and it's a fascinating time period. I just love it.
You know, I think you must be the smartest person around by all the different research that you've had to do. Has anything stand out to you, like your favorite or, you know, most interesting thing that you've learned in your research?
You know, I joke about being the keeper of useless bits of information. There's always been a lot of really fun tidbits that show up in research, and right now, of course, nothing's just jumping out at me, but I know, for instance, right now the series that's out is called Pictures of the Heart, and it deals with the AYP, which was the Alaska Yukon Pacific Exposition in 1909 in Seattle. It was like a World's Fair, and the big thing that was being promoted on one hand was the new Kodak Brownie camera, and it was finally a camera the average person could afford. And you know, up until that point, if you wanted a picture taken, you had to go to a studio and have a professional take a picture. This allowed people to be able to snap a picture at home, and you know, it was just kind of a neat innovation for the time period, and it was promoted at this World Exposition. And so I had a lot of fun just playing around with that idea, creating these girls who were taking pictures of people at the exposition as a souvenir. So it was just something fun like that.
And,
you know.
And that's what I love about reading is something like that. I never even thought about the history of the camera. You know, I mean, which I should, being, you know, in my field, but
we grab our phones and snap pictures and whatnot. But, you know, that was the thing that I thought was really amazing. And I loved the fact that, you know, here was something that we take for granted every day now.
Yeah.
And back then it was just so far removed from the average person. We just don't think about that.
Exactly, yes. So what is your process of writing? You know, do you have sticky notes everywhere? Do you, how do you?
I am a plotter, born and raised. I make meticulous chapter by chapter synopses and follow those for the most part, but I don't marry them. You know, there's been many a time that my characters have demanded to go off the trail there. And so I use it like a roadmap, and I will plot out the story ahead of time, giving myself a basic understanding. I always know where I want to go from point A to point B or whatever, but the in-between, plotting it out allows me to see where I'm dragging, where the plot isn't moving like it should, if I've forgotten a character, you know, that's why I'm a plotter. And, you know, the thing is, it's really helped me not to have a lot of rewrites. So it's tried and true for me. Sure. But my basic, you know, I get up in the morning, I go over the stuff I wrote the day before. I edit that to a point, and then I get right into the next chapter. And so if I have a 30 chapter synopsis, I know that I can knock out the first draft in 30 days.
Wow. And you know, I have no concept of writing. That's not my gift. So when you say the character goes in a different direction, how does this happen?
I know, I wonder that too, because inevitably I will have some character just not fit the mold I've created for them. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, you know, my personality would respond and react in one way, but when I create this character and give them certain personality qualities, they wouldn't necessarily respond that same way. And so you have to, as a writer, be willing to go the distance with that character and make sense of that character. You don't want them doing things that would be totally abnormal to what their personality and their history would suggest. So if you have somebody who's afraid of heights, you're not just going to have them jump out on a ledge to grab that $50 bill that flew out the window, but they might risk it if there's a child on that ledge. There might be something that would motivate them, and that's really key and important to what I consider a good story with strong characters, is give their motivations realistic expectations.
Interesting. So you kind of briefly touched about your new kind of series. Can you go into a little more detail on what you have coming out?
Well, right now, just came out Finding Us. It's book 2 in the Pictures of the Heart series. And in November, book 3 comes out. And Knowing You, I believe, is the title. I'm sitting there drawing a blank. But right now, what I'm working on for the next series that debuts out in March is a new series set in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Okay.
And there will actually be 2 3-book series at least set in Cheyenne from the very beginning of it, when it was created to help with the building of the Transcontinental Railroad, and then through to statehood at least. So
how do you pick where you're going to set your books?
You know, like I said, I do a lot of reading just for the fun of it, and so historical research is just something that I enjoy for the fun. And I was reading a lot of Western Rocky Mountain history, things like that, and Cheyenne just kept coming up. And I thought, you know, this is really a neat place. There was a lot going on. There was a lot of history there that we could tap into. And, you know, it definitely held my interest in the sense of, I kept thinking, oh, I could make a story about this, I could make a story about that. And so sometimes it's just that's kind of the way it hits me. I credit it all to God, though. I really truly believe that He's the one that gives me the ideas and keeps that fresh in my mind. I've never had writer's block, and I credit that to Him too.
Excellent. Well, I thank you so much for being willing to talk to me.
You bet.
And
This was
thank you
fun.
for using your gifts so that I can enjoy stories. And,
Thank you for being a reader.
Yes, yes. And
Thanks to all the readers out there. I couldn't do it without you, obviously.
yes, and you have a website that people can go to learn more. And
Certainly. They can go to www.traciepeterson.com.
all right. Well, thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you.